Check, check.
then fine. If you're going to
Welcome everyone to our Board of Education meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Laura, would you take roll call, please? Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Don't think so. Thank you. What? Yeah, I was going to. All right, I just want to welcome our new CMS reps. We have Ryan Pearson and Ania. I'm sorry, Ania, what is your last name? Raj, thank you. And then we have Marcel from the high school is returning, and summer teacher will be here maybe at the next meeting. So welcome and thank you for being here. And I'd like to move on to approval of our agenda, additions, deletions, and chair's review of the agenda highlights. We have some celebrating of our students this evening, and then we have our accountability data that will be presented by our director of curriculum. In addition to that, I do have one item to propose, and I would like to propose that we amend the agenda to add a discussion concerning our security strategy, and I'll propose that for executive session to be added at the end of our meeting. Is there a motion to approve the executive session? Matt, is there a second? Steve, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Our agenda is, well, actually, we added the motion, but now let's approve the whole agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Matt, Kelly, second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The agenda is now approved. Do you have any other additions or deletions, Dr. Macri?
Good, because we approved.
Right. Okay. Correspondence, do you have anything to share? Okay. And public comments. Before I read the rules for public comments, is there anyone here who would like to make a public comment? Right. Let me just read the rules and then you can come on up. Okay, individuals are welcome to address the Board of Education for up to 3 minutes each during the public comment portions of the meeting, but board members will not generally engage in dialogue. The Board of Education chair may, at his or her discretion, extend the time for public comments. Speakers must come to the podium and share your name and address. To facilitate efficient sharing of your concerns, we encourage you to share any comments you may have about instruction, discipline, or learning materials, first with your student's teacher, then principal, and followed by the superintendent before bringing the comments to the Board of Education. However, if you do not believe your comments have been addressed appropriately, or if you believe they should be shared with the Board of Education for any other reason, please feel free to do so. Any complaints or concerns about individual Cromwell Board of Education employees should be directed to the superintendent and the Board of Ed in writing, rather than in public comments at Board of Education meetings. All comments must not include personal attacks, and comments cannot be discourteous, threatening, vulgar, or otherwise inappropriate. The board chairperson may, at his or her discretion, curtail any public comments or terminate any such individual's privilege of address at any time if they violate any of these rules, violate reasonable standards of decorum, are boisterous, or are repetitious. The Board of Education reserves the right to limit public comments to particular topics. The Cromwell Board of Education values the well-being of our students and families. Those electing to make public comments at a Cromwell Board of Education meeting are strongly discouraged from sharing identifiable information of their children in such comments, including but not limited to name, age, and learning ability, and are reminded that any comments made during a Cromwell Board of Education meeting may become a permanent matter of public record that may be accessible by individuals in the future. As such, any person making public comments during a Cromwell Board of Education meeting is solely responsible for the information they choose to share. We kindly ask that you consider the privacy of your family and your children while making comments. And with all that being said, please come on up and state your name and address. Can you just make sure your microphone is on? There's a little button on the...
Is it working now?
Yeah.
I hear
All
you,
right.
yes.
My name is Tim Michaud, and I live on Coles Road.
Coles Road. Go ahead.
All right. Briefly, I'd like to highlight areas in my background as it relates to why I'm here. I was active duty military. I was a staff sergeant when I got out. I then served as a police officer until I was contracted by the Department of State to lead teams at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan. I was hired from there by MGM Resorts International, where I built a team of 250 officers and opened MGM Springfield. Presently, I'm the head of security at the Department of Public Health, and I do security consultations on the side. I have a surplus of certifications from Homeland Security, various government agencies, and private entities related to active shooter, incident response and command, and much more. I actually had numerous security items I wanted to cover. However, 3 minutes is hardly enough time to tackle everything that needs to be said. Nor is it, nor is it enough time to put things into the proper context for the information to serve its intended purpose without it being misconstrued. So I'll just touch on 2 quick items. I believe we need more SROs, be it actual police or security. The police department I worked for had 900 sworn officers, 86 of those being dedicated SROs. If we can't staff the schools with police, we need to think along the lines of a security team, placing a dedicated person in each school to supplement the already overworked police SROs, and that should be a top priority. Second, a major issue is transparency. Transparency builds trust. Some examples of that is the reason the Air Force does air shows is to showcase its capabilities, give the nation faith it can defend its people, and to show its adversaries just a piece of what they'll be up against. K-9 teams also regularly hold demonstrations with the same purpose in mind: education, building trust and faith, and showing those who would do harm why they should think twice. You hold all your cards close to your chest and ask us to blindly trust you. We know absolutely nothing about what you do to actually protect the children who is responsible for creating these plans, and if the plans will even work when faced with a real adversary. Being that this is my life's work, the fact that you even wrote that in an email that you are unwilling to share information about the steps you take to secure the children and teachers is concerning. For obvious reasons, you should never show all your cards. With that, I agree 100%. However, sharing the right information will build trust, cut down on the rumor mill, and aid in deterring the threat of active shooters that this nation dealing with every day. Parents lacking faith in the Board of Education and you losing support of the community is something I'm sure none of you want. If you are confident in some of the changes that you've implemented, you should market them for the reasons I just listed prior. If the Board of excuse me, if the board will agree to it, in the interest of protecting our students and teachers, I welcome the opportunity to discuss the security of our community in greater detail in a different forum and without a 3-minute restriction. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your public comment and thank you for your service. Is there anyone else here that would like to make a comment? Come on up.
Camila Lewis, Cromwell Hills Drive.
Okay, go ahead. Thanks.
All right, I am here to also discuss the need for adding either a school resource officer or an armed security officer to each of our school buildings. I do appreciate that there's 2 officers shared between buildings, but I don't think that's sufficient. And for the state, it's not sufficient for for the safety of our students and staff. Exactly 1 week ago today, I found myself in a lockdown for 3 hours, fearing for my life. Many feel that nothing could happen in Cromwell, but I once thought the exact same thing working at this middle school for the past 19 years. I never imagined that I could find myself in a situation requiring SWAT teams and numerous local police officers at our school. It's a reality I never expected, and it has made me anxious about going to work and nervous about sending my kids to school. I understand that some might think adding an SRO won't solve all our problems, but it would significantly enhance the safety of our children. Times have changed, and we must prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. So I urge you to prioritize the safety of our kids and all of our staff members, and please consider adding SROs or armed security guards to each of our buildings. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here that would like to share a public comment? All right, hearing none, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. We do share concerns, obviously, and we're all just as worried as everyone else with everything going on in our world today. From there, we'll move on to celebrating our faculty and staff, and we'll start with middle school. So, Mrs. Cochiola, if you'd like to come on up.
Good evening, everyone. I have some absolutely wonderful teacher and some students. Please come on up. And what they are going to do is showcase Mrs. Lindsay Zwitek teaches what's known as our STEAM class at the middle school. That's relatively new addition to our program. We're very excited about it because it also shows and gives you a good insight into why we're going to move into what's known as a STEAM school as we go into our new middle school, and to show some of the most fabulous creative work that our students do. So I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Zwitek, and she's going to give you all the scoop.
Hi, everybody. I don't think I need a microphone. I do this all day.
Do you mind actually, because we do have some viewers online,
Oh, yeah, okay.
so they might
Sure.
want to hear you.
Absolutely. Can you? I feel weird
move
with
it
the
around if you
microphone.
need
Okay, good. Okay. So just to do a little STEAM overview of how we base our curriculum, I'm just going to put this overview up here. Hold on, I can't see. So I'm going to try
Should we
to.
move the podium?
Can I turn it around? Okay.
Go ahead.
So in my class every day, if you walk in, you will see the 4 C's, which I have listed up here, in action. My kids are always collaborating, working together. They're always talking, giving each other feedback, creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving. So this is kind of what the basis of our curriculum is. I've worked with Borgia at the high school to help create some pathways, some skills for the kids to learn in my class. So as they go up to the high school, they can take classes based on their interest level. And I do talk to them a lot about why. Why is STEAM so important? In the middle school, we have such great classes that fall under the STEAM umbrella. So when they first come in to see me, I show them these slides. So I give them statistics from the labor department. I talk to them about different careers that they can have, and then they explore careers, because I feel like early exposure to careers and pathways, even in middle school, will help them follow their interest level, right, Mrs. Middlebrooks? What's your vision for your life? That's what you always say, right? So with that said, this is our, these are units that we do in each grade level. And like I said, when I worked with Borgia at the high school, he does wood shop in his STEAM class, so I do cardboard. So we came up with 5 cardboard connectors, and this is one of my students' poster that they came up with to build strong structures in 6th grade. And then they move into a cardboard creation. And I have a student, Connor, here who's going to share with you what the project is and what he created out of cardboard. You wanna come up, bud? I think you have to.
You can use Ania's mic right there if you'd like.
I created. Oh,
That's okay. You can tell them what the project is.
We were making a cardboard creation. It has to. The criteria was it has to be mostly made out of cardboard. It has to include at least 2 cardboard connectors. It has to be impressive and useful.
All right, so what'd you make?
I made a utility backpack with a magnetic charging port and then a normal charging port with a cord, which I haven't put in yet, in case you don't have a magnetic safe case. And then on the inside would be, right here is the power cell for it, so it can send the energy through, and then right here's the lunch area. I haven't figured out a way to show the installation yet. And then this is a snack area for putting snacks in. And then there's a snack flap, so you can open it from. I really need to edit. So you can open it, and then you can grab a snack out. And then the way you open it, I was thinking would be a zipper, but I couldn't do that, so I just used a Velcro tape and added this so you can restock it from the back if you need to. And then the water bottle holder. And then the straps have foam on them, so because it is going to be heavier, so it won't hurt as much as if you use the normal backpack. And then there's pencil case and small toolkit that you can have.
I think you've thought of everything. How long would you work on this for, Connor?
Week and a half.
You did all that in a week and a half?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's a lot easier when you start off with a giant box for a backpack.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you for having me.
Nice job.
Thank you, Connor. Great job, Connor. All right, and then in 7th grade, here are the things that we do. But I also brought Mackenzie because she's going to tell you about her cardboard creation, because although she's in 7th grade, she still uses it, even though she made it last year. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
So when I was in 6th grade, I did the same project as he did, and I made like a kind of like Lazy Susan thing that spins out of cardboard. And I was just gonna make a storage unit at first, but Miss Swiatek said it had to be impressive, so I made it spin.
And aren't you impressed?
Yeah.
So impressed.
And then now in 7th grade, I'm making a tiny house, and I finished it maybe like a week ago, and it's gonna be up here.
So the kids have to, we learn about tiny homes. Mackenzie, do you want to like navigate it around so they can see it while I talk? So the kids have to, we talk about what is a tiny home, how many square foot is it compared to our regular homes, how are they beneficial to our environment, why would somebody live there, who would live there, and they actually have to design it on graph paper with the correct measurements and rooms and their wants and their needs. And then they go on Planner 5D and they actually bring it to life. So it's really impressive what they do. So that is in 7th grade. And then we're moving into, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're moving into now, Mackenzie?
We're moving into like a sensory sensitivity unit.
Can you just talk into this microphone? Yeah, thank you.
We're moving into a sensory sensitivity unit, and we're making like fidgets. So we have to make things that help with your hearing and your touch and your smell and etc. So like all like the 5 senses. And I'm in the middle of like trying to design like a sensory board, and we've been doing that for how long?
We just started.
Like just started, yeah.
Do you remember what the unit's called, what we call it? Empathy and innovation. So it's all about how we can use our STEAM skills to help other people. And what are we going to do with the sensory boards and focus tools when we're done?
We're going to put them in a room for people to use them, and like they'll help people that have sensory sensitivities.
and sensory seeking in our
Yes.
school. So I've talked to our school psychologist, our guidance office, and our special education department, and we're going to distribute those for our school. So the kids will be able to make things that actually they see people using in our school. So it's really, I think it's really impactful. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Very nice, Mackenzie. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here.
All right.
Keep inventing.
All right, so in 8th grade, you're ready, Julian, huh? Okay, I gotta get on the mic. Can you move over? Thank you. Just kidding. All right, so in 8th grade, we start with simple machines and following the engineering design process. Then we move into sympathy and innovation again, but this time we focus on prosthetics. So we learn how prosthetics are so helpful for humans and animals. And the kids have to make models of hands that actually work. So here are some that we made that they have to grab and hold something, and they have to throw and catch. So they make the model out of the hand after they learn about how the hand moves. And then I'm going to have Julian talk about his and why he moved from his paper hand to what he created. Go ahead.
So when I started making my paper hand, I wasn't too enthusiastic about it. So
Appreciate the honesty.
Welcome to middle school.
that's why I only have this much. So when I stopped doing it, I thought, how can I make it better? And then I started building.
Oh no! Oh no! All right, that's all right. Fix it.
It's all right. We got this.
So something while he's fixing that, something.
It's easy.
Just use a different mic if you want.
It's one. It's like one.
Really
piece.
important in my class is that the kids know that there's flexibility in their creativity. So if he has a better idea and I have the tools for him to use it, I'm going to let them do that. So it's that freedom of creativity that helps them think a little bit further. So that's this example.
Finally,
Okay. Good job.
one more piece. There. Sorry. Okay, so I started making this. When I started out, it was just this one finger and the thumb. But as I went along, it started slowly building up, started finding the pieces that I needed until I had this. So I'm going to explain how it works and what it's supposed to do. So for this to work, you need something to go on the limb so that these can fit in it. When you put it on, it should go on something like this, and then it'll just look like that. So, yeah, hold up.
Remember you said it was going to lock it.
Oh,
up
yeah.
here?
When you put it on, it's gonna look like this, but it'll have sensors back here, and it will lock, so it won't fall out when you put it down. And I think I'm done.
And what did you make it out of, Julian? Are those, it's hard to see from here. Are they
This-
Lego pieces or
It's Lego,
Lego? Cool.
so
Wow.
yes.
That's your own creation.
Yes.
That's your
I
own creation.
built this out of spare pieces that Miss Switek had.
Really?
Because all I have is spare pieces. No, I'm just
What are you talking about? We got you like $2,500 kits.
I know.
So you didn't follow a plan. That was just your own creation.
That was
That's
his own
amazing.
creation based on the model that I gave them.
Gotcha.
That's where his mind went. Yep.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing.
And just quickly, I'll finish up by saying from there we go to animal prosthetics, and I thought I'd bring a couple of examples for you to see. So the kids will have three choices. They have a cat that doesn't have a limb, they have a bird that needs part of the beak, and then they have an alligator that needs a tail. But I just had stuffed animals, so no stuffed animals were harmed in this. I just snipped a little hole. Believe me, I have to tell the kids I didn't cut the tail up, and I just tuck it in. And my students made different prosthetics. So this is one example. You know, it had to be able to come off and go on and be flexible. So this was one of the prosthetics. And then for the cat, oh, this was another one. It's a dog, but you know, this is what I had. So we work with what we have. So this is one, and this was another one that the straps came off of, but these are just two examples of the animal prosthetics that they made. So it's really exciting. So thank you so much for having us and letting us show you all the awesome stuff that's going on in STEAM class at CMS.
Thank you so much. I'm sure they enjoy it, and it's probably one of their favorite classes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Any questions from the board? Of course. Go ahead, Catherine.
Julian, more of a comment. I really hope that you watched a lot of the Paralympics over the summer because they showed a lot of information about prosthetics and how it made so many people say that they felt that they were more competitive, they can do anything, they can accomplish anything because of a solid, amazing, good prosthetic made. And I feel like one day you're going to be one of those people making those prosthetics. I'm super impressed by what you made. Instead of cardboard, you went above and beyond. So congratulations to you.
Absolutely. All right. Any other comments from the board? Matt.
Just that those are all impressive and useful. And a question, do any of you have a current patent attorney?
We are moving into
I'm not one, but they might need one after seeing those.
My nephew's one.
Oh, really? Good to know. Good to know.
I love the snacks thing.
All right. All right. We'll move on to celebrating our, wasn't this supposed to be the high school next or no? No, this was all in one. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to reports of liaisons from the Town Council, Board of Finance, Cromwell Middle School Building Committee. Reference A in your packet. I don't see anyone here from the other boards. And as far as building committee, they did have their beam raising ceremony, which went well. They have another meeting coming up, which is in your packet. And there's also a neat QR code if anyone wants to see the drone footage of it being built. So that's all in your packet. And then from there, we'll move on to report of our student representatives. And with that, we'll start with our seasoned student rep. Marcel, if you'd like to start. By one meeting. You have them by one meeting.
And he was here the first meeting. Yeah.
I know I wasn't though.
This is on. So Summer couldn't make it, but I'll be reading both. On Friday, September 20th, students and staff participated in National School Colors Day, and a large picture was taken of those who participated with the drone on the new gym floor. NIASC was visiting our school for the last few days, and many students played a role in their visit, participating in events like interviews to NIASC members or tours around the school. This week's Spirit Week for students and staff had fun days like Neon Day and Student Teacher Swap Day. The first round of musical auditions for the spring musical, The Addams Family, was held, and callbacks will be coming up shortly. National Honor Society hosted its introduction ceremony on October 1st, which went smoothly, and inductees were happy to be brought into the society. Seniors are getting excited for their senior trip to Washington, D.C., and New York. And New York is coming up in mid-October. So this is the sports category. The social media interns have been hard at work creating a new Instagram account recording CHS Sports. The at is Cromwell Panthers Sports. The two chosen athletes of the week are Dylan Bathrick and Taylor Mooney. With that being said, the boys soccer team is running smoothly with their current record being 7-6. They had a recent win against Bolton yesterday and are currently playing in Hale Ray. The Cromwell girls senior night is today against Somers. Best of luck to them. They last played yesterday in East Hampton with a win. I couldn't find their record. I was asking around, didn't know. The Cromwell girls volleyball team played yesterday against Old Lyme with an unfortunate loss. They're playing at Hale Ray Wednesday with their current record being 6-9. The Cromwell boys football team is off to a great start with their most recent game against Morgan being a win. Their next game is a home game against Weaver High School. Their record is 3-1. Last but not least, the Cromwell track team were invited to the Ocean State Invitational. They had top times from Dylan Bathrick, who placed 4th with a new PR, and Taylor Mooney placing 25th. Their next run is in Hammonasset Park, the 17th.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Marcel, from our board members? All right. Thank you, Marcel. Move on to the middle school. Ania, would you like to start?
Cromwell Middle School students have had a wonderful first few weeks of school and are ready to soar this year.
Ania, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We just want to check and make sure that everyone can hear you. I'm not sure if your microphone is on. Oh, just talk quietly like I do.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Cromwell Middle School students have had a wonderful first few weeks of school and are ready to soar this year. Students have successfully transitioned back to our routines and have been rewarded with raffle prizes, including gift cards courtesy of the SOAR committee. We are looking forward to a healthy and outstanding school year. Our student council is up and running. We currently have 12 members and are actively recruiting. The student council looks forward to serving the CMS community this year by hosting food drives, organized spirit activities, and supporting the CMS PTO. Yearbook Club is off to an early start under Mrs. Asterowitz and will meet for the second time this week. Our jazz band debuted this year as an 18-member ensemble. We are in the process of learning 4 different styles, including swing, bossa, nova, jazz, waltz, and rock. Additionally, we'll be learning how to improvise using the blues and Dorian scale. Select choir auditions were in late September. We accepted 18 singers, and we are excited for the year ahead. Wednesday morning rehearsals have begun, and Miss Camilleri is very excited to prepare Coldplay's Viva La Vida and What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish, among other selections with this group.
Thank you. Any questions for Ania before we move on to Ryan's portion? Okay, Ryan, go ahead.
Mr. Leckwitz, Mr. St. Ange, and Mr. Chabowski would like to thank some students who soared on September 28th by joining the Connecticut River Cleanup at River Highlands State Park. Kudos to Dylan Meyer, Andrew Matrillo, Dylan Danaher, Addison Kissel, Roslyn Tingari, Courtney Visone, and our intrepid solo 6th grader, Blake Cubbs. Teaming up with the High School Eco Club, the City of Cromwell transfer stations, parents, and some local volunteers, over 500 pounds of construction debris, plastic, styrofoam, and other garbage was removed from the banks of the community river. Again, our thanks to all who helped us out. Soccer. The girls' team, coached by Miss Humphrey and Mr. Willis, is currently undefeated. Led by Izzy Dorak, the Falcons will try to win their final 4 games. In the final game of the season, they will face off against Ram Middle School at home on Friday, October 18th. The boys' soccer team, coached by Mr. Nino and Mr. Glowa, and led by Arnel Pichamovec, Jordan Santigello, and Marcel Masalek, is currently 6-1 with 5 games remaining. The boys' team, which is made up of 28 boys and currently has 2 wins, 1 tie, and 1 loss. The boys are continuing to improve each day. The coach is so pleased with the boys' competitive nature on the field and with the great turnout to play this season. Cross country. The CMS cross country season is off to a running start, led by Sophia Rodriguez, Summer Stankiewicz, Ania Raj, Leah Jacobs, Vanessa Rasmussen, and Landon Umba Newington. Michael Morgan, Joey Dabrowski, David Steshi, Jacob Pavia, and Andrew Matrillo. The team has really enjoyed conditioning in the beautiful weather, competing against neighboring schools, and watching their running times improve with each meet. Coach Murphy and Coach Bosworth are pleased with the team's excellent sportsmanship this season.
All right, thank you. Any questions from our board members? All right, thank you all for being here. And as you may know, you're welcome to leave at any moment after you deliver your reports. But if you'd like to stay, you're welcome to as well. And if anything piques your interest, feel free to chime in and add your thoughts to our conversations. Thank you. All right, town collaboration updates. Anything? I guess we could just mention the committee that The Board of Finance, Town Council, and Board of Education is still meeting to discuss trying to get together a plan for, started with the Gordian report, but we're incorporating all aspects of long-range planning, and so we're working hard on that. Claudio Bazzano has been attending those, and Dr. Macri as well. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to add to that, Selena. So right now we're looking at about 15.2 million over the next 5 years of expenditures currently in the current projections. That's not including 10 million for the field, so that puts about 25 potentially over the next 5 years. So what we're really needing is support from Claudio and hopefully eventually Mr. Butwell to really nail this financial plan down and kind of really see where we need to spend that money.
You might want to include the superintendent.
Well, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
So, 100%. But as far as like the legwork, I think they really need to get,
We've already been looking at it.
yeah, and Steve Waganowski's more than willing to come in and help out with the tool that he put together to help support that process.
All right, do you have a question, Catherine? Sure.
Okay, I have a new microphone. So does that include working with the town related to the bathrooms that we have the grant for, that the town was issued a grant for at the high school for?
No, that's outside of it.
That's outside of it,
separate.
as is the lights. I'm assuming the lights for the girls softball field are also
Yes.
excluded because they're not at the high school, they're at the Little League field.
Right, and I think there's a separate funding for that. So.
There is,
Yeah.
there's a separate grant for that. So we are not a part of those. Okay.
No.
Yeah, because there's a timeline on those.
Yeah, there is a timeline, but the township is very much aware of the timeline. So, all right, thank you.
Alicia.
Sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay. Just a question on process. So I know we've got the committee, which includes representatives from each of the groups, but individually, we're still going to be reviewing. You're making me nervous when you say, Mr. Butwell and Claudio, and then going to the full group. So I just want to make sure individually, as each body, that we're going to review whatever recommendations are going to be put forth before they go to that collaborative group. Is that the process we set?
Well,
I
at
don't
the
know.
last-
We have a policy. So anything that's over $12,000, anything that's under $12,000 is part of our budget we could do as. But remember that the Board of Finance agreed that anything above $12,000 would become a part of a capital project. But those what we put in as a capital project through Claudio, we would bring to you for you to see what we're doing, so that you're not blindsided. So anything that's over $12,000, there's a form that we have to fill out. We have to submit it to the town. But before that happens, part of the procedure is that you see it first before we submit it to the town.
This committee is more to prioritize so that we can get to that point.
Yeah, and get all the stakeholders on the same page of what has to get done and what is really important. But at the end of the day, you're going to get to see what goes in to the town council and the Board of Finance before it does.
Thank you. That helps.
That's
Thanks.
part of the protocol.
And part of that too is, right now, the next meeting, we're looking to have essentially all the school dollars prioritized for October 21st, which is going to approach here very rapidly.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Alicia.
That's for our next meeting.
No, that's for the tri-committee meeting, which is, Board of Finance, Board of Education, Town Council, the Mayor, Dr. Macri, Claudio. That's October 21st.
It's a facility.
We've been meeting throughout the summer, started late last spring.
No, I get that. I
sporadically.
just wondered at what point do we weigh in on some of those
When we're ready to put
prioritizations?
them
Once we
into our budget.
submit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right. We'll move on to superintendent's updates and responses to Board of Ed comments and action items from our prior meeting. And before you go, I do just want to mention to everyone here that obviously we had a situation last week, and I just want to thank everyone involved because it was super stressful for the administration, the teachers, the students, and I think no one wants these things to happen, and I just think we're not alone in this. It's horrible what's happened, but as working in a school myself, it's the worst case scenario, and I just feel for everyone that was involved. Scary situation. So thank you for everyone that was involved.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr. Macri.
So I'll start off with what I always start off with. I am me. You hired me. Most of you are new. To Tim's comment, I'm not trying to hide anything. I get the rules and the law, and then I follow the rules and the law, and I tell you as much that I can possibly tell you, and I do what every superintendent does. If I sat up here and said to you that I wasn't petrified of what's going on in the world today, then I would be a liar, and I'm not a liar. It is scary. It's scary to wake up every single day for parents to send their kids to school and worry. It's scary for me. I've done it since the moment I became a teacher, which was 31 years ago. I put 2 feet on the floor every day in the morning, and I ask God to help protect our kids and get us through the day, every day. And I've done that for 31 years. I never thought I would find myself in this situation where I was making decisions regarding school safety and security and swatting calls and active shooters and things that are unimaginable. So to me, I think it's really important that we work in partnership, and I've seen that happen a little, and then I've seen everyone's scared. Everybody wants to poke a hole or find a loophole. There's a lot of them. And Detective Officer Mashad spoke about how much training and everything that he has had over the years, because this is what he does. And we have had as much training as we could possibly get our hands on, and we're going to continuously do training, and we're looking into even more training, because the last thing I ever want is for any of my students, my staff, or anyone to get hurt. It's terrible to think that you come to work or you come to school every day and something can happen. I was thinking that day when we were on TV, my mom's 87 years old, and I know she watches the news, and if something happened in Cromwell, she would have possibly lost 2 of her daughters at the same time. So it's scary, period. And so I want to acknowledge that, and I also want to tell you that since that incident and before that incident, our administrative retreat, one whole day was all on what are we going to do to improve what we're already doing and who are we going to work with. So we had Officer Pete and Sergeant Carlson and Officer Bialco at that meeting present with us to talk about things that we've done and what else are we going to do and things that we could do better right off the bat. And one of the things we talked about was when an incident happens, whether it's small or big, we need to sit and debrief. And that's exactly what we did that following morning. We sat with the officers and the team to debrief. And we have different teams. So we have an all hazards plan. You'll see in policy that the only people that are allowed to see the all hazards plan are first responders. You as board members may see the all hazards plan, but you have to read it at central office. And this is guidance that I've been given by your attorney, because the attorney is your attorney. I am your liaison to the board attorney. You could come in and you could read all of them. Do I necessarily agree with all board members having access to all of the plans? I don't, but that's the law. So we could talk about that a little later as well, and how that would work. You can't have cameras, you can't take pictures, you can't record it for obvious reasons. But there are plans, and Lynn McKinney and Claudio Bazzano now, and Chris Botwell, who's been very helpful, and all the APs, principals, hours and hours on trying to perfect and think out scenarios of what we're going to do and what we will do. In response to the other the situation that happened last week, it was a swatting call. It wasn't, we were prepared for the swatting call, because right now it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. So within 5 minutes, and Andrew can attest to it, we had NIASC accreditation, the team here. They were so impressed with the way we handled it. They came from all different schools, and they're like, holy cow, you guys handled that so quickly in partnership with Cromwell Police Department, and it could not have gone better. My first priority will always be to make sure that your students, our staff, are safe. Then I'm going to communicate. We are not a big district. I don't have an assistant. I'm making these decisions. We have people in places doing certain things, but there's only so much you could do so quickly. And I would rather wait and do it right and make sure everybody's safe than do it wrong. The minute I knew that everybody was safe and it was a particular situation and it was handled a little bit differently than, let's say, it wasn't a swatting call would be handled. We sent an email that informed everyone that students and staff were safe, but this was still happening. It was still occurring. Regretfully, our system, which we are looking into, we're meeting with Parent Square and we're meeting with a couple others. We have, to notify people, we have relied on School Messenger, which is part of Power School. We pay a lot of money for Power School. School Messenger is part of Power School. We've been using it. A lot of districts have moved away from it and bought extra things. We're there. We're at the point where we need to too, because there is a lapse between call, email, and text. There's also only a certain amount of words that you could put into a text, and there's a lot of different things. You have to hit a bunch of buttons. You have to hit submit. So yes, there was a glitch. It was a glitch of between human error of when you're really stressed out in one office and you don't have as many people as you need to do the job, and systemic error. So yes, I feel terrible for that. I don't want anybody to worry. I try to get it out as quickly as I can, but at the end of the day, all I care about is that your kids are coming home to you safe. And that's what I will never apologize for making sure that happens first. And that's exactly what I did with Mr. Kuckel and the chief on the phone with me on speakerphone, because two of us can't be in the same place at once, so I couldn't come here. And I took over the communication piece for Mr. Kuckel so he could handle the real issue, of which was very scary at that time. I have zero regrets about how we handled it. The next day we met and we debriefed about, the police debriefed about things that they truly believe they could do better, that we may have had a disagreement on, that we talked about and said, hey, that makes a lot more sense. Let's do it this way. That was like a 2-hour meeting the following day. So it went really well. As far as things that I can tell people of what is happening, it's the basic stuff. We have a chart. We made it in a different way, and this will be hanging in every classroom. It's a working draft, but it should be in the classrooms by tomorrow and in every room in the entire building. And it's very basic. We have a lockdown procedure. We have a secure the school procedure. We have a shelter in place procedure. We have a secure the perimeter, and we have an evacuation procedure. And all of those happens with there's a procedure that you have to follow. This is a one-pager that's going to be shared with every teacher. Before that, every teacher has a bag like this, or a folder, but everyone has this red bag. And in this is the procedures that I just talked to you about. And every administrator is here today, and we had this discussion today during Admin Council. We went through the training. The very first thing we do in our first faculty meeting is train our staff. Some staff came to some, and may come to some board members. The only thing I can say is it is up to them to review. We give them the training, but if you're not doing this every day, you have to review this. To me, looking at this, my chart's a little different on my desk, every single day, and my bomb threat, it's right under my phone. The person who took the call at the high school has been with us for less than a month. She was excellent. She kept the person on the phone. You have to use common sense, and you have to be careful on how you react and staying calm. We're doing everything that we can on the school side, the school safety side. We are partnering with everyone that we can that will partner with us. If I told you that I'm going to keep everybody safe all the time, I would be lying to you. It would be like me asking you, if you had a home invasion at night, can you promise me that your kids are going to be safe? Can you? No one can. we are all doing the very best. We're all nervous, but we're all addressing, and we're and working incredibly hard. And I'm not closed-minded, and I check my ego at the door. Even when I get a little cheap shot, I check my ego at the door because it's about keeping everybody safe. But I have to be careful on what I say too, because I have to follow the law, and I know that's really hard to hear. I do check with our attorney, your attorney, on a lot of things. So with that being said, we have a procedure. Everybody's been trained on it. Does everybody always remember? Is it difficult to tell between one thing and another when you're nervous? It is. We all know. For those of you that know me, I believe there's mental health is my thing. Your amygdala is hijacked, and everything goes out the window, and people make mistakes. And I can't promise that that isn't going to happen. It's going to happen.
I like the part of your letter that gave the community and parents some guidelines on how to react themselves to at home. So I don't know if you want to go over any of that.
Yeah,
at
so
our
so
public meeting.
the thing that people think is really helpful, and it's really the least helpful, and a few years ago we had our students come and speak. So social media could be a great thing, and it could be a horrendous thing. So you get on social media and you start making assumptions of what's happening, because you may know, the truth of it is you may think you know what's going on because your child just sent you a text before I know. This is how quick your kids are getting to you now. Everyone, we all have to be realistic about that. And they don't necessarily know what's going on. And it may take me 2 to 3 minutes to find out what's going on. In this particular situation, it was a swatting call. We had a police officer with this listening. We had to assess the situation, and we moved rather very quickly. But your kids are in a lockdown. They're texting you. You're texting back. They're texting you. I don't know what I would do if my kid was in that situation. Would I say, keep texting me because I'm scared to death? I might. Or would I say, put your phone down and listen so you don't miss any of the directions? Because you don't know. You may have to jump out a window. You don't know. We don't know exactly what is going to happen and what the adult is going to have to tell them to do. So I understand that people are nervous. I understand that students are texting. I get it. But I also want them to listen to the adult in the room who's responsible for them at that time, so that they can make the best decision and that the kids are not preoccupied. That's the reality of it, which none of us want to hear about. It's scary. Information on Facebook is helpful, and there was, I guess, I don't care. I don't watch what you guys say because it's, some of it is comical, because until you're sitting in the seat and you have absolutely no idea what is happening in the schools and what everybody's going through, some of the things that people say are just outrageous. So that isn't helpful, because our kids have social media and they read that and they're actually disgusted. And they have told me that. They've come here and they've told the board a couple of years ago that they are, because all you're doing is making them more nervous, and you're sharing falsities, if that's even a word. If you're sharing something that I sent out and you're reposting it, that's great. Please do that. Continue to do it. But having a conversation and posting what your conversation is between you and your child, that is not helpful to anybody in any situation. What's helpful is to get the real information out there as soon as you possibly can. No one is saying don't talk to your kids, don't talk to each other. No one is saying that. What we're saying is there are certain things that are helpful and there are certain things that are hurtful, and the people that you're hurting the most are the kids. So I don't know how much to say that, and the kids are here. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you're reading social media and you're in a lockdown and you're seeing and you're on that page and everyone's arguing, and are you feeling better about what's happening or worse?
Or just say anything you'd like to on this subject.
Well, so during the lockdown, I was texting my mom, but at the same time, everyone was texting their mom, and I'm pretty sure there was like 5 different scenarios that got brought up of what someone said, that someone was outside, someone said this, and then someone went on Facebook and they also did see the messages, and it was scary, because all you see is these messages about how the kids are in lockdown, and what else? I know someone had like a police detector, police radar, and they were like listening in on the conversations of what the police officers were saying, and it was scary because all I heard was like, bathrooms clear, and then, yeah, it was
So-
social media.
And so Marcel, I am sorry that you have to hear. We have you hidden and in lockdown, and all of you, so that you don't see what's going on, but the reality of what you're hearing is actually what is going on. And I can't protect you from that, but all I'm going to do my best to protect you so that you get home safely to the very best of my ability. And hearing all of that is 5 different stories. It doesn't make anybody feel any better. It just makes everybody worse. It raises the ante of other people who are trying to tell me, which everyone at central office has now learned. Don't tell me. I don't want to know what's on Facebook. I could care less. What I care about is your lives and your safety, and what I'm going to do to make sure that you get home and are in school the next day safely, and we're going to do it all over again. That's all I could promise everybody. Not just me, every superintendent. 169 of us are in the same boat. The fact that this is happening more and more is out of control. We need to talk to our legislators. If it's someone that we can hold liable, and we have arrested children in our district for doing things, you will be held responsible. You will get arrested. I'm sorry. I'm not actually sorry, but that's what's going to happen. In a particular situation that happened the other day, good luck trying to find the person, because you can't. It's overseas. You can't track the person down. The number is the same number that was used. Meriden received it. No, I'm sorry. West Hartford. Middletown. But we didn't know it because it was all happening all at the same time. So I'm
we're
always
used to that instant gratification of just knowing answers quickly, but you need that time to react and craft a response. So I think we all have to just be a little bit patient.
Mr. Kuckle and I made a decision together while talking to the police. We could have cleared the building much faster, but Mr. Kuckle and I made a decision that we wanted to go overboard on what we wanted to do, and the police said, we will do that for you. It took another half hour. I'm not sorry. I will never be sorry. I'm glad we did it. I'll do it again. And if you are an adult, in a room where you're not supposed to be because you went to another room that you thought was safer and you were there for a little longer, good for you. Good for you.
Catherine, go ahead.
So just to kind of add on what Marcel had said, when my daughter was here a couple of years ago, there was an incident and there was a bunch of information flying around on social media, and it terrified all of the students because they were confused and wondering why it was being said and knowing that it wasn't true or accurate, but it was coming from parents in the district, and it was very disheartening to them. And also, the district was incredibly transparent, shockingly transparent in my opinion, about what happened and how they reacted to it, contacting individual parents and guardians whose students were directly impacted by the incident. Also, so the social media thing, I totally agree with you on. I was supportive of the transparency, but I also have a question for you. I hope parents are listening. And it will also, if I ever shared the text with my daughter back and forth when the incident was going on social media, she would have been mortified, embarrassed, humiliated. Parents share them without permission of their students, and I think that's really something to be cognizant of. You're putting your student at an open for target of conversation, and that's not fair to them without their permission. But I do have a question for you, and after all of that, you talked about the debriefing that you did the next day with your administrators, all the parties involved, the SROs. Was there a debriefing with the police department, with either internally or with you after the fact? I know you had the SROs, but was there a debriefing because we have our SROs, but we have more that will respond to incidents. So was there a debriefing with the whole police department, or at least with Chief Sifo, after the fact? I know he was very busy the next day, unfortunately, but just wondering.
Sadly, Chief Sifo was very busy, but that day Chief Sifo and I talked at least, I would say, 10 times before, during, because he was here. We had an incident command center set up. we just, because that's what happens, you set up an incident command center, everyone has a place of where they know they need to go and be. We were communicating the entire time. They needed to do what they needed to do here. He was communicating with his SROs, and to also let you know, the whole police department was here, and which puts the community at risk as well. It puts everybody at risk, but everybody was here doing the sweeps, helping whatever, and doing whatever they could do. Chief and I were talking the entire time. Mr. Kuckel was walking in and out. I was walking from my office, going in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. After. Oh, my God.
I think you
yes.
mentioned that when
Absolutely.
you were telling us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As soon as it was over.
I know it was with the SROs, but I didn't.
Oh, no. The chief and I,
know
the
if it
chief,
was with
myself,
the chief or the
Mr.
police department.
Kuckel were all
Okay,
on the phone
I
talking
just heard-
about
I'm
things.
sorry.
Yeah,
I just heard the
Oh, I'm
SRO
sorry.
portion.
No. The next day, the SRO showed up, and then since then, I've probably talked to the chief. We talked like 3 or 4 times, even just today, about things that we talked about that we could do better.
All right.
But yes.
Thank you. I
I
think
do have
that
one
pretty
question
much
for
covered.
Marcel as well. Knowing the SROs are in the school, does that make you and maybe some other students feel more comfortable, feel safer?
It definitely does, because when the officers did come to check up on us, I know I saw the school resource officer. I don't know his name. I think it's Pete.
Yeah.
Officer Pete. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
came in with another officer with him, and yeah, it was yeah.
So
Familiar
Marcel,
face. Thank you for
he
sharing
came
that.
in to tell you,
Yeah,
to let you know that.
Yeah, like that we're clear, and just to stay silent. And
Yeah.
the other officer was holding like a pretty big gun.
So that's our reality, guys. It's a sad reality, but that's the reality. And I'll answer any of your questions that I feel that I can answer in public session. We are allowed to have discussion in executive session as well.
Let's hold the rest for executive session.
Okay.
I think you were pretty transparent, so
All right,
let's
so
try to move on.
Can I just talk about
Oh, absolutely,
NEASC?
something
Okay,
different?
So really
Yeah.
good stuff. I want to talk
Okay.
about NEASC. So NEASC went really awesome, and Mr. Kuckel is going to talk about it after. We had our review, and we just, it's informal right now. It hasn't been put to a formal review, which we will share with you, but it was excellent. So far, they just cannot believe how much we have grown in 3 years, because we actually listened to what they asked us to do to improve, and we took it very seriously, particularly in curriculum and in instruction and in facilities. They're so impressed with everything and all the work that we've done. But I don't want to steal the thunder when we get the report, so Mr. Kuckel will debrief you on all of that. And we're just happy that that is pretty much over. And I think that's all I wanted to share with you, unless you have any
All right.
questions for me.
Thank you. I just wanted to go back because during public comment, I just wanted to mention I did receive a written correspondence from Ashley Barton of 6R Whiteman Place, and I will be adding that to the minutes. I believe you have a copy of it. And she also supported either armed security officers or SROs, so she wanted to implore us to look into that. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. All right, from here we'll move on to presentations and reports of administration. Item A, the 2024-2025 budget update, reference B in your packets. And for that, we'll have our Director of Finance, Chris Butwell.
Hi, everyone. So included in your packet this meeting was the projection from July 1st through September 30th. The beginning of the year, as I'm finding, is very busy in terms of ordering all the supplies and et cetera for school, setting up encumbrances and such for service to be provided later in the year. And so the projection in your packet, this time it's pretty, I'm going to say it's pretty loose in terms of there's a lot of non-defined numbers that we haven't expended yet, or in terms of thinking about reimbursements and that kind of thing. That's way down the road. So it is where we are at this moment. So I'll just pause there because I know we have another agenda item coming up in a second before I talk about that. So
Okay, are there any questions on the first piece from anyone?
I did send a email. I don't know if everyone had a chance to see it. I just wanted to make a suggestion of tracking expenditures that were not part of the budget. So for future forecasting, I'm assuming we do that anyway.
100%, yes.
So as long, I guess another request would just be if we could see that information.
Is that something we do at certain times of the year?
We usually do it in the spring when we start seeing, so we don't come to you and let you know, like, oh, we hired a para, or, well, we show you in the human resources, you know, and that part. But we have spreadsheets that basically calculates, you know, what we didn't think we were going to be spending and what we're actually spending now. If it's little changes, we don't calculate it. Like, for example, I want to make flyers. It's a little thing, but if it's a big thing, we definitely keep track of everything. And then we'll come to you in the spring. Last year, our goal was last year was to get through the year without having a director of finance, and let you know. And tonight, actually, you saw there's a transfer issue that we want to talk about, and tell you where we went over, where we went under, where special education particularly, we always talk to you about and tell you, you know, this is what we had to add that we didn't think we needed to add when we did the budget over a year long.
I mean, at certain points during the year when there's big changes, we're always made aware
Oh, yeah.
of them. And we had that spreadsheet one year because it just laid out for us after the fact as we were nearing the end of the calendar year. So we understood clearly what the differences were for the bottom line, but it wasn't like we were aware that they were happening throughout the year, though.
Yeah, we always tell you if there's something, right.
They're part of the budget.
Well, we try to
Well,
inform you here.
The ones
if
on the
it's
sheet
something-
that I sent out were things that were outside of the budget. So it'd be good to see and be able to track the trends moving forward. So when we are budgeting, we can say, hey, these are the trends we're seeing. This continually goes over. We need to build this into the budget.
We do, yes, we absolutely do that because that's exactly how we budget.
Yeah.
We
So,
have to.
so I guess I'm just asking for more
Yeah.
transparency. That's all.
Yep. I mean, yeah.
And I will add, it's a regular practice for me to work directly with Mrs. O'Leary or Ms. Tamora in HR. And as we're hiring people, or if there's special ed expenditures that we weren't anticipating, we're having those conversations constantly, regularly, so that I'm in the loop in terms of, financial obligations that need to be met, and they're letting me know, and I'm tracking those changes.
Thank you. All right, and next we have action item B. It's a budget line transfer, and it's reference C in your packet. And basically, it looks as though we need to just better identify where those expenses are falling. I don't know if you want to elaborate, Mr. Butwell? Or
Yep, I have Mrs. O'Leary
Mrs.
coming up
O'Leary?
as well.
Okay.
Also, we're going to tag team this one. So basically, coming in to my position this year, in talking to Sari, we really want to be able to get a better handle on the special education expenses. So I'm going to just have her speak for a second about how things have been done, and then the changes that we'd like to make that relate to the memo in your packet.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I'll say this in layman's terms. So when we budget for students for tuition, we have a tuition line. And in the past, we've always budgeted for all services for students that receive tuition for out-of-district placements under tuition. In talking with Mr. Butwell and our Medicaid specialist, it actually is in our benefit to budget differently and budget for tuition and the services that students get at these out-of-district placements in pupil services. So the reason we're requesting a transfer is because we want to better streamline things, and we will get more money back for Medicaid billing if we put these services for the students that attend out-of-district placements in our pupil services budget line versus tuition. So that's why tonight we are requesting a transfer of, I believe, $350,000 from tuition to pupil services. This money has already been budgeted, but we just want to make it right and put it in the appropriate budget line, and it will then in turn, not this year, but in future years, bring us more money back to the district for our Medicaid cost reporting. I hope that makes sense.
And this is in accordance with the policy that was reviewed tonight?
Yeah, we have a policy that we have to do this, so we're just following the policy.
So the action would be the Board of Education hereby approves a $350,000 budget transfer from the tuition line to pupil services line. Would anyone like to make that action?
Motion.
Steve? Second by Kelly. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Just a quick question. How much are we talking about? You said more money.
For Medicaid, you mean?
Yeah.
For
I don't really have a good answer for that. I actually even called our Medicaid specialist. Her name's Kathy Blackwood. She works for the Relay company that we use. It's the hub that we input our Medicaid services. She couldn't tell me how much it would bring us back to the district, but she knew it would help us in the end. The more money that we budget in and put into that pupil services line, we can put in our EFS report at the end of the year. And she said, in turn, will bring us more money back. So I don't have an answer for how much, but in future years, once we know, and I can compare, she said it will definitely benefit the district and the town. So,
Any other questions?
So an increase in what we're getting now, projected increase, as
know
far
in
as what we're
Medicaid?
getting back from Medicaid.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I didn't think you would do it for a
Potentially.
loss.
potentially, because we never know what students and what we're, yeah.
All right, thank you both very much. New business, item A, field trip list 2024-2025, reference D in your packets. Any questions on the field trips? Those are just informational. We don't have to approve them because I believe they're all in state. Yep, they're all in state. All right. From there, we'll go on to review and possible action of the school calendar for 2025-2026, reference E in your packets. Are there any changes you want to highlight on the school calendar this year? I mean, it looks pretty.
I do.
We have the
So-
graduation date set firmly, so that's one thing, right?
Yeah, so 25, 26. I just want to talk this through with you and you decide because it doesn't really matter to me. So you'll notice if you look at December, because of the way the holidays fall, we actually come to school right now. We would be coming to school on Monday, December 22nd. And then we have the rest of that week off the following week. One half day. So a half day. And then we're coming to school on January 2nd, Friday. So if we changed that, both, like let's say we took the 22nd off and the 2nd off, we would then be done on the 15th. Or we could say, give up the 22nd, but let's come for the 2nd and hope that we're done, and then you're done by the 12th. It's up to you. Do you want to move both days? Do you want to move just one? Do you want to keep it the way it is? It's just the way it falls, and it doesn't really matter to me. I think that a lot of people would appreciate the 22nd off. I don't
Would
really.
this push graduation?
So
to the 12th?
yes, this would push graduate. So if you said let's take the 22nd and make that a part of the vacation, then it would push graduation to the 12th, which I'd like, as long as it doesn't snow.
Did we promise them?
This is 25, 26. Sorry, remember? Yeah.
Do you remember?
24, 25, they already booked. This is the first time you're seeing this.
Right.
This is
time.
the first time you're seeing this
Because
calendar.
they book
think we
earlier
just
and
have to-
earlier
we
every
just have to-
year.
Oh, yeah,
so.
you see, this is the first time no one has seen this besides the administrators, myself, and you tonight. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Matt has a question. He has his hand up. Go ahead, Matt.
So it's more of a, it's not so much a question as it is just kind of logical reasoning. Obviously you guys know that I am an educator, like several of you actually, but one of the things that I noticed as a teacher is the day before a break, attendance is significantly impacted. So if we leave it as is right now, the 22nd being a half day, on top of it, I think families that do have travel plans for the holidays are just going to pull their kids that day. And then you're going to have to catch up kids when they get back, and they've already been off for 2 weeks. So that presents, more challenges from an educational point of view and making sure kids are up to speed with, where they left off beforehand. So I would, just based on that alone, I would be in favor of making the 22nd a full day off from school and adding that to the calendar for the holiday break. I'm a little less so on the second. Personally, I know it's like one day in the week, and it's kind of like you're gonna do one day in a week and kind of what's the point? And the same argument can be made. You may have families that choose to extend travel plans because it's only one day. But I think those are things we kind of need to consider when we're looking at this.
Marcel, you looked like you had some thoughts. No? He was.
I don't think any work would be getting done on the half day anyways.
Thank you. Lori, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Is your mic on? So
Yeah, it's
quiet.
on.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because they're all different.
Take away the 22nd, that Monday, and then keep the following, the Friday on, and then that'll have graduation land. That would, if nothing changes,
nothing
have it land on a Friday.
But if we vote in tonight, then graduation stays. It doesn't change, correct?
Graduation,
No, we haven't set that yet.
you,
We can set it at the next.
You will set, right, no, we
We'll
usually
set it before snow days kick in.
We set the graduation date in January for the following year.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember,
Yeah.
we set it already for this, so we're a year ahead.
Yeah.
So then I'll come to you and say, hey, this is our calendar again.
They're not set for half days, by the way, the 22nd.
Where does it say half day for 22nd? It's showing a full day.
Oh, yeah.
None of the half.
Were they
No,
intended
I'm
to be
sorry,
half
it would be a
days?
full day. No, it would be a full day because it's not the 23rd. I'm sorry. It would only usually be a half day if it was the day before Christmas Eve. Because it's the 22nd and we still have the 23rd. Yeah, it would be a full day. Monday would be a full day and Friday would be a full day. Yeah.
Honestly, I think regardless of whether the
Yeah, it doesn't
22nd is a half day or a full day, you're going to see it. You're going to see an impact on attendance that day.
How about a full day of PD on the 22nd?
You want my teachers to kill me?
Well, the PD is set, right? I mean, that's last year we went over it so much. Did we change much with that?
No. The only thing what we would do, I mean, if we were to do that, then then they only work a certain amount of days, right? Teachers work 187. So we would say we're having PD on the 25th instead of having it
20
in February.
Second.
22nd. I'm sorry, on December instead of having it in February.
I don't think that's a good day to have PD.
I know.
Everyone's
I think
in
most
the
people are going to
mindset
be
of
like doing their
holidays.
Christmas tree, their Christmas list, yelling at us all.
Go ahead, Alicia.
Thank you. Just a question. So we have the 22nd right now on your calendar is a full day of school, and then the 23rd is a full day off. It's not a half a day.
Full day off.
Why do we do that? Don't we typically do? I know we have usually Christmas Eve off, but why are we giving the full day off on the 23rd? That's not typical. Usually I would think we would have the 22nd as a full day, the 23rd as a half a day or a full day with the 24th off, because the 24th is Christmas Eve. This just doesn't look.
That would solve the
doesn't
problem
look
because
right.
can't the half day count as a full day?
Yeah,
So
it
you
just
do
doesn't
the
look right to
22nd,
me.
half day on the
So you're
23rd,
saying
and
do
remove
the-
the first or the second. Yeah.
Do the 21st as a full day.
No.
22nd as a full day. Do the
23rd as a half day, which is what we have done historically. I don't know why the 23rd was off as a full day off, because that's not
I
commonplace.
can't really tell you why either, even though I.
Because then that wouldn't mess you
did
up
it.
for the.
As a whole day off or half day? Half day?
There is no.
A full day off. Oh.
I agree.
Well, Kelly's saying this year it's a full day off on the 23rd.
There.
According to our 24-25.
Oh, it is?
I think you guys actually made that decision. I think you may have.
I don't
overridden
think
me.
we had a conversation about it though. I don't think any of us realized.
That's why.
Yeah,
we were on the board.
Oh no, Catherine's right. It's because it falls on a Monday.
I think you guys overrode me on that. Actually, now that I
Well-
think about it, I'm gonna go back to the minutes. Ashley, find those minutes. No, I'm kidding. I think because it was a Monday, we said, "Why?" Yeah.
If we did I agree. If we did the 23rd as a half day and then gave off the first
That
or
would
the
be better.
second.
All right. So do the 22nd as a
Sorry, Marcel.
full, is what you're saying? 23rd.
Senior year. He's just right. You'll be a
Senior? Yeah, he's going to coast that.
I think parents would appreciate their kids
then
being
do
in
the
school for that
second
day and a half too.
Yeah, extra shopping and wrapping then.
And then that would be the 22nd full. Right, that would be the 23rd half day. That would still make our last day the 12th. Correct?
No, because
22nd, like we were planning, so that would leave at the 11th. And then we have a half day. Actually, that's the 10th. Yeah.
what about that following Friday?
It would actually make, you're adding a half day.
No, we were going to, no, we were, sorry. We were saying give a half day on the 23rd and give off January 2nd.
Oh,
Because it's
give
a
off the
Friday.
2nd.
But attend the 22nd, which right now you,
Go the 22nd and the half day 23rd and then take away the 2nd.
Right, so you're the 11th now, so you'd back up to the 10th because you're adding a half day. That day is off, the half day counts as a full day.
You're to the good by a half
By half a day.
Yeah, because
The
see,
22nd and the 2nd cancel each other out, so it
yes,
stays.
yeah.
No. It's currently set at the 11th. Oh my God, I feel like we do this every year. It's currently set at the 11th. If we left the 22nd with a day off, that still doesn't change, or a day at school,
Yeah.
that doesn't change the 11th. If we put them in school on the 23rd, right?
for half a day.
For half a day, that moves it to the 10th. However, on January 2nd, we're going to give you the day off, so that moves it back to the 11th.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Want to
Thank you,
question the
Catherine.
accountant? No, I'm just kidding.
I actually thought it too. June, okay.
All right.
So June 11th. Is that right? You let me know.
I think that makes.
Does that make sense?
Do we agree?
Okay.
All right. So,
So
say it
let's
again,
make
Catherine.
this-
Keep the 22nd. 23rd is a half day.
Yep.
22nd full day, 23rd half day.
The
January.
2nd
Is a day off.
As a day off.
And
Nobody
then-
wants to come to school for a
And then
Friday.
the graduation date
Stays the same on the 11th.
is the 11th.
Last day.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the calendar with those changes?
Motion.
Who said that?
Me.
Alicia. Second by Alan. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Congratulations, Marcel. You graduate on June 11th.
Yay.
Don't rush it, though.
Marcel. Half day.
That's assuming you put all the work in.
Oh, of course he will. Great. Marcel.
All right, so now we'll move on to student accountability data, and we have reference F in our packet. And for that, we'll have Dr. McLean, Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Are you ready, Dr. McLean?
She lives for it.
It's sideways on mine, so I'll look up. Is yours sideways?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. I don't know how to fix it, but.
Okay, so we're going to show you our accountability data from last year. As always, we have some successes and we have some areas that the data has brought to light that we really need to focus in on. I'm going to start by going over the global data at the district level and give you some district level strategies that we're working on, and then I'm going to have the principals come up and talk about the data in their building, and they have some individual strategies in their own buildings that they're working on, and what the district strategies look like in each of the buildings, because it's a little bit different. Okay, so this is where we fell in the Smarter Balanced math up in that assessment in comparison to the other towns in our DIRG. Math, Smarter Balance is something that we're focusing in on, particularly looking at where there are gaps in our Bridges curriculum where we can supplement. This is our Smarter Balance ELA DIRG comparison to the rest. We're falling pretty consistently in the middle of our DIRG. Yeah, fairly consistently somewhere in the middle. SAT, this is math. We're doing well on our SATs. The kids, by the time they get to high school, they are demonstrating more proficiency than they do in the younger grades. This is ELA, and we beat Rocky Hill, which I love. Not quite Old Saybrook yet, but we'll get there. Those are the two I always look at. And this is our NGSS DERG comparison. Again, falling pretty much right directly in the middle of the rest of the towns. All right, this slide gives you an idea, just so you know what you're looking at. This gives you an idea of where we fall in comparison to the state of Connecticut. So you can see in that top line there, it's the percentages and the Smarter Balanced for math, Smarter Balanced for reading, and NGSS for the state proficiency percentages, and then our district, and then the schools if they apply to those assessments. In just about everywhere, we're over the state average, but WIS is done a little bit of a slip in reading, and we're really focused in on particularly 4th grade. This is comparison of SAT reading. Again, well over the state average for SATs. This is our overall NGSS proficiency. There's some wins here. Grade 8 science is another focus of ours. That's another one of our focus areas. We've had some changes there, and we're making some curricular changes in grade 8 science in response to the disaggregated data that we've looked through for grade 8. Okay, so these are our overall strategies. They haven't changed a whole lot. We've refined them, and we've kind of targeted them a little bit more. Targeted small group instruction remains as our primary instructional strategy. What that means is we are training teachers to pull students and work with them on the skills that they need to be working on based on their assessments of the skills that they're learning in the unit or the lesson. Our MTSS, which is our intervention, handbooks are being revised, and they're being aligned district-wide so that we have some consistency in our intervention program throughout the district. We're really tightening up that process by trying to create some very specific goals that are measurable for our students, and taking a look at what assessments we can look at to measure their progress. This is a big one, and this is a new one. We've added a new vocabulary and grammar program into grades 4 and 5, which have been so far a big success. I think that was something that was really lacking in our curriculum, was a specific focus on grammar and vocabulary. So we've added in that programming, and we've aligned vocabulary 6 through 12 so that they're using the same program as well. We use close reading strategies across the content areas. So everybody's a reading teacher. You can't really absorb content if you can't read. So we have done a ton of training on close reading strategies with all of our teachers in all of the content areas. Collaborative problem solving is something that Julie's been working in building thinking classrooms that we are working to implement in the classrooms, where students are put together and they're given a problem that is challenging so that they can have some productive struggle in working with each other and coming to an answer, and then having to explain how they got to that answer, which is really the important part. Because of the math, we took a look at the math scores this year, and we have decided that we really need to put together a 7 through 12 vertical teaming committee, so that everybody knows what's happening in everybody else's classroom, and we can align strategies so that they're gradually progressing, and we're not reteaching the same concepts, and we're making sure that we're addressing all of the standards. Strategic test preparation, 3 through 11 with formal data collection. So we have actually done away with iReady. In the last 2 years, our data has not triangulated with our state assessments, and it's taking a lot of instructional time. So we're moving away from that now. It's just not giving us good data anymore. And we are really working on using the IABs, is what we call them. They're basically sample assessments that align much more closely with the state assessments. The state actually develops them, and there's a much bigger bank of practice assessments than there's ever been. So we're going to try using those this year, gaining back that instructional time, and seeing if we can still collect some data. In the high school, we are going to do some more practice SAT and PSAT and collect data on it so that we can really do like that push before the March test for SAT, and we can collect some real data that aligns directly with the SAT criteria. Like I said before, we're strengthening the MTSS process with measurable goals. We have specifically outlined a literacy and math plan, and all of the administrators are doing frequent walkthroughs with targeted actionable feedback. We actually, as administrators, just had some training today on how to provide really quality, actionable feedback to our teachers so that they can increase their capacity, whether they're a first-year teacher or a teacher with 35 years of experience. So that's what we're doing globally as a district. I'm going to call up the principals so that they can talk about the data in their buildings, and they have their own strategies that are more applicable to their age group. Yeah.
Sure. What's the new program that you guys have started for grade 4 and 5 for vocabulary?
It's called Word Wisdom. It's a Zahner
Word
Blaser.
Wisdom?
Zahner Blaser is the publisher. All right. I think we're starting with ECS. I'll be your Vanna. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So we're going to take a look at the Ames Web in kindergarten. And again, this is last year's data. And if you look in the very far left, right column, under number naming fluency, quantity total fluency, and quantity difference fluency, they've all increased. And then in grade 1, again in that right-hand column, the 12.6%, 8.2, and 3.2. And if you look at in the green section, the winter to spring, they were pretty good numbers to begin with, and again they've all increased. And then in grade 2, again 8.3, 8.2, and 4.7. Just note over in the left-hand side where it says percentage of well below benchmark, those numbers, we want to see them go down. So looking at the red fall to spring, you can see the numbers did decrease. That's what we want to see. And looking again at the far right, the increase has all gone up as well. Looking at our reading data, if we look at the percentage at benchmark and above benchmark, we have a total of 73% at or above for kindergarten. For grade 1, we have a total of 76% at or above. And then for grade 2, we have 66% at or above. That's grade 3.
Okay, so if we take a look at the grade 3 dibbles again, looking top down, first column, beginning of the year data, you can see that our greatest percentage is in the at benchmark. If you focus down to the bottom, it's interesting at the end of the year, you can see that 18 in the at benchmark, which you might be somewhat alarmed to go from the 38 to the 18. But if you look at the split difference, you can see where that at above grade level benchmark rose by 17%. So that's really reassuring to us. The piece we're really focusing on now are those below benchmark. That number stayed the same. So we need to be figuring out why we're not moving our students who are below benchmark and how we're going to continue to move them. And that's a real focus on our special education and our MTSS process that we're spending a lot of time on right now.
Oh, you're back to strategy. Sorry, the K through 3 in our district goes over 2 different buildings.
So the things that we're working on are implementing new reading, compendium bookworms. You probably have heard of the bookworms, our new core reading program. Teachers love it, kids love it. It's amazing. Haggerty, which went into full implementation last year. It's the ability to manipulate sounds orally using your ears, not your eyes. If you think about rhyming words, we're using foundations and we're using geodes. And geodes, you'll hear about those too if you ask your students at home. They're decodable books, very high interest, nonfiction and fiction. We use a lot of them in small group instruction. We're shifting our coaching format. We call it shoulder to shoulder. There's a lot of co-teaching done by our reading folks. There's new blended learning programs. We're using Lexia this year, Math Fact Lab, and Con Kids. Our M-Class screeners assessments for both literacy and math.
We used Ames Web last year. We switched over to M-Class because we switched over for reading. It's just easier for consistency to use this. It's the same assessment, it's just a different publisher.
We're looking into the position of a K-2 math facilitator. We are reviewing our K-2 bridges with the state model curriculum so that it aligns with the K-2. Literacy intervention, all of our interventionists have been working in a year 2 of implementation of an enhanced core reading instruction, working specifically on fluency drills. Play-based learning is being piloted. Last year we had a committee of about 25 teachers who on their own met after school. They visited local schools in the area, did a lot of PD and research on their own because they were very interested in this. So K and 1 are going to do some piloting in play. We've already incorporated some time into our master schedule. It's built in so that teachers have that flexibility to start with a theme and work on one theme. And we hope to have something for you maybe towards the end of the year so we can share with you what we actually did this year with play.
We have some teachers working with ACEs with some other towns that are using our same reading program so that they can work collaboratively to embed play-based learning into our reading curriculum. So it will all hopefully align.
And then our MTSS progress monitoring to support SMART goals. And we are working hard to provide collaboration and planning time for our teachers.
We're really looking for every minute that we can grab for them to be able to collaborate with one another. And we've been creative in the last couple weeks in grabbing them some extra time when they need it. Okay.
Carrie, can you just grab one of the other mics if you're going to be standing from over there so that you can both be talking? Thanks.
So as we take a look at the aspect scores for grades 3 through 5, we're noticing a lot of consistency in terms of the scoring, not showing a lot of growth, but not a lot of dip either. And that gives us pause in terms of what do we need to do different? What have we been doing the same that hasn't been terribly effective? And how do we need to move our students? That's true of the math and the ELA piece. You can see if you're looking at cohorts from grade 4 to grade 5, we're noticing that 6% dip. That's really the only cohort we can look at here. And we know that students are not certainly losing learning, but they're not showing the growth for the new skill set that we'd like to see. And the data for ELA looks the same in terms of limited to narrow growth and limited to narrow decreases. And obviously we want to see consistent growth over time. This is a dip from grade 4 to grade 5 in terms of that cohort by 8%.
Grade 5 has made great gains though.
They
really
have.
grade 4 is our focus. We're really kind of honing in on what's going on in the curriculum and instruction in grade 4.
So here's where I tell you about all of the things that we're doing at Woodside.
So many things.
And when I tell you these conversations are constant and ongoing, we are taking this data incredibly seriously. And it's nonstop conversations between Lauren and I, and Julie and Amy, Lauren and I and Julie and Amy and Carrie, Lauren and I and Julie and Amy and Carrie and Enza. We have to fix this fast. Data conversations have been had with grade 4 and grade 5 teachers, as well as multi-age. Within the PLC as a team, we're looking at their individual team data, and then we're meeting with teachers individually to take a look at their individual classroom data as it relates to their team, and then to the DIRG as well, because we really need teachers to be absolutely 100% reflective of what's happening in their classroom and how they're comparing to the classrooms around them. Those conversations have been private because we want teachers to be celebrating those that are having a lot of success, and we also want to have the teachers who are struggling to have that growth in that classroom have that moment to sort of be really reflective and sort of engross themselves in the reality of what the output of their instruction is looking like. Strategic walkthrough. So during the month of September, Amy and I visited every class in the building, and this is outside of our Lauren and I topping into classrooms regularly, and provided immediate feedback to them within several hours of being in the classroom. Here are 3 things we're loving seeing. Here are 3 things that we really need to fix in order to up that sort of ante of instruction. The month of October, Julie and I will be doing the same with every classroom in the building, walking in, doing that observation, giving them, here are 3 things that are really going well. Here are 3 things that we need to change really quickly. The opposite months that I'm visiting with either Amy or Julie, Lauren will be visiting with the opposite curriculum supervisor to make sure that we're constantly in classrooms, constantly providing feedback, because we know our teachers need that. The biweekly strategic planning. So in addition to Lauren and I meeting with Julie and Amy weekly, Carrie is now joining our meetings every other week, because we need to be constantly updating them in terms of what we're seeing, what our data looks like, and where our staff needs the most support. The implementing of new reading. So Bookworms is going to grade 3. It's in collaboration with the K2 model. Our 3rd grade team is super excited about Bookworms. It's a really well packaged program that's super comprehensive. They started Heggerty last year, so they're really confident with that. And like Lucille told you, Heggerty is that sort of listening piece. Cat, drop the k, what's left at, bringing in the hand motions, because we know that motion part for our younger students is really helpful in terms of solidifying that learning. And then Foundations is equally a reading program, but focuses a little bit more on that phonics and that spelling and handwriting that we've been hearing about from families for years. Where's the spelling? Where's the handwriting? And surprise, cursive's coming back through Foundations. So all of your students will be able to sign their names on those checks again. New reading units aligned with the CCT state model are happening in grades 4 and 5. Huge shout out to those of us that are helping and investing so much time in writing those. Our team are really excited about these. And then our grade 4 and grade 5 teachers are doing an amazing job of combining these CT model curriculums with the word wisdom and the patterns of power, which being in the classroom, the kids are loving those, absolutely loving and thriving. Really excited to see how the implementation of a specific vocabulary and a specific grammar program have impacts on our aspect scores. We're in that year 2 of the coaching to coaching model. So we talked a little bit about our 4th grade scores, our most concerning scores right now. So Sarah Galati, who is our reading coach, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now. During the month of October, she has 4 meetings with every 4th grade teacher in our building to specifically plan, coach, and then pushing in to do observations and providing feedback. We are taking this very seriously. The new blended learning program is Math Fact Lab and Khan Academy, really helping to remind our teachers that we shifted so much towards that technology-based platform during the pandemic, and we need to move away. We need to be getting more towards that social interaction, that dynamic learning, which is really thriving with that collaborative problem-solving model that you heard about a little bit earlier tonight. The N-Class Screener is really very exciting for us. It's they're actually piloting us in terms of their program, but we're really enthusiastic to see what the data shows us in collaboration with the IABs that we talked about a little bit earlier. The review of 3-5 bridges, that's a conversation that Julie Shepard and Erica Ballish are having constantly with what is bridges providing us in accordance with what our data on the SPEC shows us, and where do we need to bring in other resources to help build that capacity of our students and our teachers to make sure we're meeting the needs on the SPEC test. We're in that year 2, just like ECS with the ECRI, which is primarily focusing on our intervention groups, which means our students who are receiving MTSS services are getting really dialed in specific instruction in order to grow their capacity. Constantly looking at our MTSS program, constantly looking at how we can improve it, and writing those SMART goals for our individual students involved in the MTSS process, and really excited to see how we're going to be attaining those goals. And then the providing more collaboration and planning time. We've done a couple things at Woodside with this. We've completely revamped our dismissal in the afternoon. Part of that is a safety piece. If you've heard in the community, we've changed that parent pickup model in the afternoon, but we've also changed bus dismissals. So students are immediately dismissed from their classrooms at 3:15 to a supervised setting to board the bus from there. It's helping us get the buses loaded faster, leaving us less vulnerable with doors open in the afternoon, but it's also giving our teachers an additional 20 minutes of prep time every afternoon at the end of the day, and they are absolutely grateful for this time. Additionally, we've added an additional PLC once a month, and I know once a month isn't a lot, but we're just trying to get every single minute we can to each grade level, and that extra PLC time is being had with either Erica or Sarah, again, to drill down in terms of that instruction. And then we have also found ways to help cover recess, so we can have one teacher every day not on a recess duty because they're being supplemented with another staff member, so they can get an additional 20 to 30 minutes of time with a coach or planning time. We are trying to find every possible minute we can to give these teachers either coaching or opportunity to plan.
Ramsey, we just have a question.
Oh, sure.
Hi. So I understand that you're keeping your teacher, the 3 things to do better, 3 things you're doing well on, confidential, and I respect that. It's very unusual that we see WIS so stagnant for all areas. Do we see, and I know you gave us an overall of the grades, but is there a significant difference in the multi-age classrooms and how they're operating, or do they fall right within the norm of what you're seeing across the board for 4th and 5th grade?
They are falling absolutely in the norm, and we have taken a lot of time to look at that multi-age classroom, especially when it comes to developing the curriculum that goes along with it. Because for those of you that are familiar with our multi-age classroom, they typically alter between a 4th grade reading unit and a 5th grade reading unit. So we really have concentrated on making sure that our kids involved in the multi-age have the same level of instruction and support, but their data is consistent with 4th grade for their 4th grade students and 5th grade for their 5th grade students. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Okay. And we have a lot of wins at the middle school.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, we were pretty excited when we all saw the data. The data was shared through the coaches, through the supervisors, throughout in the beginning and in our beginning of the year as well, and we were all pretty excited to see that growth was in fact made. We're excited about that even within the math. We do see some dips, absolutely, but we did see some growth, some pretty solid growth, and taking that and then let's see what we can do to replicate that and keep that going, with all the grades. Just some notes just to I'll probably get to that, right, with the strategies. But anyway, I'll go to the next. All right.
Grade 8 is also a focus for us for math.
Yes.
Like we're really honed in on those.
That's going to be our focus is grade 8 math. Mm-hmm. And then you can see with our cohort data how the kids did make some growth. You could see all the way over to the 23-24. Again, 8th grade, our focus, but look at how much the kids grew in 6th and in 7th. So
and you can see the focus there, obviously, for 8th again. But even though there was a little dip in 7, we're seeing the cohort. So that's year over year. So you're talking about entirely different students when you talk about year over year. This shows you the same group of kids. Give or take a handful, that we gain or lose every year. And so they are growing, which makes, obviously, grade 8 one of our focus areas.
Right. And our reading, we were all very pleased to see that our reading really did make some great gains. And I'll go in over all the strategies that we have applied throughout the years, and I can certainly go into those when we look at our district strategies. But we were pretty pleased to see this, and we want to keep continuing that growth and that trajectory, that's for sure.
6th grade, just tons of growth.
Yeah.
They killed it. 6th grade was, and that's not usual. When you have kids that transition from a building, you generally don't see that kind of growth. There's just a lot of adjustments made, particularly at that age. So that growth to us is indicating a lot of really positive things.
Oh, she went there.
Go ahead.
Just a question on the 8th grade cohort. Any thoughts as to why that particular group? Kelly and I are both talking because we both have kids in that cohort, and we're trying to figure out what it is that's different, that they really seem to struggle so much more than 6th and 7th.
For math?
Well, both math and reading in
Math
general.
and reading in that's a great the grade level as a whole we're looking at. I think it's instructional strategies. I think there's also curriculum issues that we have to fill in. We have some very specific strategies that we're using with our grade 8, our grade 4. Those just are showing us where, we've broken down the data to find out exactly where our problem areas are so that we can tighten up what's happening in the classroom, and really focused in on making sure that that targeted small group instruction is happening consistently.
And they do focus very much on the pacing, and both this year within 8th grade we're very fortunate to have the coaching. They're working with both teachers, the pacing, the aligning of the state curriculum, and really implementing the Desmos program, which is a great interactive math program. So that's really been our focus, and I think we'll definitely see some growth with that this year.
Sorry, one more.
Sure.
Did we notice the same trends last year with that same group of students? Did they also struggle in
With the
year?
same growth, so the cohort data is not.
It's different years.
Yeah,
That
but-
same
so
group
but
of
you
the
can
kids that
see-
were in
but
8th grade
you
or
can
the
see
kids that
like
are in
for
fourth?
math, like you can see the cohort data, we're losing. So see, that's grade 8, that's 21, 22 when they were in
Oh, okay.
6th. So that goes across, so you can see
6 to
no,
7.
they're not holding
Right.
on to their growth.
Okay.
And the same happens.
With the 4th graders.
Reading is better, but math is really tough. But so you can see, like again, that year over year went down, but the kids in reading are still growing. Like that, if you look at the same kids, they're growing. Not enough.
No, we know we have an issue.
Yeah.
Like looking at the numbers, we know it's not okay. We've never truly had a big sense of urgency in Cromwell. COVID has it's done damage to everyone, but we are not recovering as quickly as we should be.
And
In
pre-COVID,
certain
we
grade
were at
levels.
about 70% in proficiency, and we will go back to that. Yeah, we will go back to that. No, I mean, the writing was always solid. Our reading was solid, so we will get back there. So some of the strategies, as you can see, and I can add to some of them as well, we're in the process of creating our STEAM curriculum and our PBL project development, because we're aligning that all to the project-based learning framework. Staff's been working really hard at that. We have a STEAM steering committee year 2, and now our facilitators are joining in and working with our staff on creating those projects and those units. We have structured data teams. We're very, very fortunate that our staff can meet horizontally, so the 2 8th grade math teachers meet together, the 2 7th grade math grade, and the 6th grade math teachers meet together, and they're very fortunate that we have coaches that work along with them. We use the IABs, which are the interim assessments, so we're using those as measures, and also the staff wrote pre and post formative assessments, so now they're looking at those to see where they're growing, where they need some work on. So that's really been moving along. We've been also involved with the strategic walkthroughs, checking the data, checking what's going on within the classrooms, what kind of small group instruction, what instruction is going on, and being able to give feedback as to what is working well and what maybe needs some improvement. We're aligning our reading units to this Connecticut State curriculum model. This is year 2, right? 2. So we're continuing with that. We've also included vocabulary.com, our blended learnings, and our grammar. So the kids are focusing on those, because we did find within our iReady scores at the time that we were using that we needed to refocus on vocabulary, because of course that builds your reading skills. So that's going to help. And we're very fortunate. Again, we have year 4 of coaching cycles, which really does help the staff grow tremendously.
We're in year 2 of our Desmos math program, which is a very interactive math program for students. And we're now implementing Khan Academy and Delta Math, and again, to just fill those gaps in skills, and also bolster any students that need some extra help within there, or, for enrichment. Carrie, I think I mentioned this before, the 7-11 math committee, all of our math folks are part of that, so that's going to be a great place to have that conversations about the vertical alignments. And they met with high school. That was the last curriculum day.
Yeah, we've seen, even from that one meeting, really, like when we dug into the data, there was a lot of aha moments about, our level 1 students versus our level 2 students, and what are our mindsets around how we instruct in those classes. And so we had a lot of really positive discussion in our first meeting. Vertical teaming is always a great meeting, but this one was particularly impactful.
And our MTSS program, it's our full year of how we restructured that. We have they meet at the building level every week, as well as the teams also meet to discuss students and then work on those goals to help students with any sort of needs or supports. Also, what's not up there, but I can go into way more detail, is we've done close reading strategies across the content areas. Not only it's just not happening in our ELA classes, but kids are talking to the text in all our content areas. Social studies, and I'm so middle school, and I have to mention this, both Andrea and I went and observed classes, and it starts right in 6th grade, where the kids right out of the gate learn how to close read, as we call it, and to really capture their attention, they give them the strategy called SNOTs. Have any of you who've had 6th grade kids will come home and say, hopefully they shared it with you, and really what that means is small notes on the side, but it's a really good way to, to catch their interest, to have and it's complete with the green highlighters and the writing notes on the side, and the kids, and their reaction is like, middle school, and they love it, and that just helps them. And it builds through, and they do that. They continue with the close reading in 7th grade and 8th grade as well. So it's working, and we're capturing their attention on that. We also use a ListenWise program that's really helped with our comprehension auditorily, where that's tested on the SBAC, and the kids, it's called ListenWise. They listen to information, they know how to take notes, they know how to summarize those, and you take it for granted. You think kids know how to do that. They don't. And the more they learn how to do that, the better readers, and how they listen in class, and also then construct their thoughts. So that has really helped us tremendously. Our writing class has really helped and supported our reading, and all the IABs are also used as like do nows and questions like that to help them focus on and not be afraid of when they go to take the SBAC, because they're already familiar with the kind of questioning. And then I can go on, but that's about it. And we're doing a lot of that work, and that's going to continue this year as well.
Lots of wins at the middle school, and we know exactly where our focus areas are. Okay, last but not least.
Thank you.
So SATs, pretty straightforward here. So for ELA, a lot of work was invested, a lot of time school-wide, and within English department, social studies as well, to move the needle there. So we're very pleased with the progress that we made in terms of our SATs for ELA. That is a significant increase for us. And then in terms of math, same thing. A lot of time and energy invested in a lot of different programs for our math students. Overall, it was a new format for the math section in the SAT, so this is kind of like our new baseline to see, okay, where do we go next year with it? The state overall did take a dip when it came to the math side, but with that said, again, a lot of time and energy was invested in a lot of different strategies, a lot of blended learning models that we've been looking at, and really solidifying our math lab programs, our MTSS process, to turn that number around and move that in the right direction. So our math department is taking a close look at a lot of what they do, and part of that is that 7-11 strategy that you'll see on that last slide. that Julie Shepard is spearheading in terms of trying to get that vertical integration across the way. But overall, mixed bag for us with the SATs. Again, very pleased with the ELA progress, and with math, hoping to see better outcomes as we continue forward with a lot of our different strategies that we've started implementing over the last few years.
For math in particular, strategically, we don't have a secondary math coach necessarily, but I have moved Krista, our instructional technology coach, to primarily focus on the math at the high school so that we can get that shoulder-to-shoulder coaching in the classroom and start those cycles at the high school as well.
Yeah. And, again, a lot of in the math department, when we looked at the scores, they're extremely reflective, and
they're a great
they were very hard on themselves, when they saw these scores. But again, part of it too is just trying to navigate, like, all right, this new model, the SAT, what can we do better to help prepare our students for that? So, and then in terms of AP data,
this is the biggest win.
yeah, no, this is a huge win, huge win. Our AP scores were excellent overall, and we did see a lot of extremely strong outcomes with our students. Just to highlight a few, and that's what's always interesting with the math SAT scores, but on the flip side, our calculus AB, 16 exams, 4.41 score average. That is amazing. So Mrs. Randazzo, Dr. Kirschbaum with physics, which is not on this page, but our English, lit, and composition as well. Those numbers that you're looking at, those averages, those are over a point higher than the state average. So these teachers and our students absolutely crushed the AP assessments this year. Mr. Borton as well. U.S. Government and Politics, 15 students enrolled in that class, 4.6 average. That means nobody got a 3.
Yeah, that's
right. That is, I don't know. It's hard for me to put into words how impressive these numbers are from our students. So on the AP side of things, our teachers are doing a phenomenal job preparing our students for this assessment because the 4s and 5s get them college credit. And it holds a lot of weight when they apply and go on their way. And overall, we saw numbers go up. So another thing that we're going to address later on, so I can't really speak out of turn, but it's so connected, is that we did get silver recognition with the AP assessments, which is an extremely impressive accomplishment for what our teachers have been able to do with our students and what our students have been able to do, obviously, taking that assessment. So very pleased with our AP data this year and last. And then in terms of strategies, again, we've invested a lot of time creating a schedule that provides 2 PLCs for teachers, which has been extremely beneficial thus far. We're only a month in. But their ability to have those data teams talk about student data, plan with their own individual PLC, that's been a huge part. And then a lot of things that we're doing are just continuations of practices that we started over the last few years, whether it's the coaching cycles, different SAT prep practice tests that we're looking at and implementing as well. And again, all of our blended learning programs, Alex being one that our math department was very excited about, so we've expanded that to cover and get more students. And of course, with the blended learning programs, I think you heard, I think Ramsey brought it up as well. We went all in on these, but we're kind of vetting these as we go along, right? We're trying a certain program and realizing, okay, students maybe aren't buying into it, or maybe we're not getting the return with the time that we're investing in the classroom. So we've really done a lot to vet different programs, and we feel pretty comfortable with where we're at right now with what we've settled on. And in MTSS right now, we're in year 2 of really full implementation there, and a lot is happening at that committee level as well. So we have a lot of good strategies that we feel very comfortable about.
That MTSS is really impressive, actually. So much work has been done in implementing an MTSS program at the high school, which is not necessarily always the case in every district. It's really, really difficult to do a good intervention model at the high school just because there's a lot of moving parts, but the committee is super committed and have made a lot of really good choices for our students that need some extra support at the high school.
Yeah.
I have a question. We talked about AP scores and how the students do, but a lot of students take UConn credit. I know we just added in the central credit classes. Do we evaluate or look at what they do on those ECE credit courses and how, I understand if you go to a different school, it's not UConn. Some of them are non-transferable. So are we assessing how they're doing in those classes also?
So in terms of students who enroll in our ECE courses, very few do not earn the ECE credit. And when I say very few, it's probably less than 5, a year. Most, when they take that, they do pass those courses, and those credits are transferable to, last we checked, I think 83% of colleges will take that credit. And then we have that new central collaboration, which this is year
That's
one
brand
of
new,
that.
yeah.
That's
We're
brand
excited
new.
about that.
So in terms of our ECE, we have a lot of offerings, but the numbers are not large. We don't have a lot of students enrolled in those courses.
I know in certain courses that they offer both, and you can choose one because only one can transfer, for example, in
Yeah.
AP Calculus or UConn Credit Calculus.
Yeah.
So a lot of students choose to go the route of the ECE course is what this seems to be the majority over the AP class. So that's also important to know over the AP testing. It's important.
Yeah.
To know. But and do we know how easily it is to transfer the central classes?
So the central credit, that one we're gonna have to find out. I mean, that one will be a little bit less than the UConn credit. And the AP, like we said, if you get the 4 or the 5, that's worth its weight in gold, typically.
And not all schools. Some schools want a 5.
Yeah.
Which is very disheartening, but schools are pushing more towards a 5.
Yeah, because they want their money.
Yeah, they want you to pay for their credits, not transfer in.
That's a reality. So that partnership we have with Central is a nice shift for us to be able to get students that credit. If they choose to go to Central somewhere else, it wouldn't be that 83% that a UConn is, just because UConn is held in different regard, right, in terms of a public university.
If I'm wrong, there's more standards for teaching a UConn credit course.
Yeah, the teacher
versus
needs to
Central.
be qualified based on their background, their undergrad and graduate work. So they have to be. Whereas Central more or less provides us that respect that our teachers should get.
Yeah.
Which is, I've been teaching U.S. history for 25 years. I think I know what I'm doing. So Central's like, yeah, that's fine. We'll allow you to teach and we'll award you credit. Whereas UConn, I graduated from UConn, but this is the reality. It's they want you to, more or less be almost a professor. Which that's their prerogative. That's fine. But we have a lot of qualified teachers that can handle and provide very rigorous instruction.
Can I just add, Catherine, they also require extensive in-services. So if you're teaching a UConn ECE class, you have to go to ongoing training.
Yeah, you have more training that you have to do.
Yeah.
Every year they all go.
Yeah.
Somewhere for that.
And it's in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, everyone.
It does look different this year. So it looks like, you left no stone unturned. So
We hid
thank you
quite
for
a
all your
few
hard work.
Slides too. We were like, we don't need this, we don't need that, but we have looked at every aspect of this data.
I have full faith. All right, and do we want to lead right in? If you want to stay right there, Mr. Kuckel, we'll lead right into our next item, which is the Cromwell High School AP School Honor Roll Report, our silver recognition.
Yep. So
Mr.
you have a memo about that. Last year we did get that bronze recognition, and that is criteria that the AP board. It's a newer honor roll that they do. So this is the second year that they've done it. Second year we've been on it, but we were excited to move up into that silver category. And just to be clear, this isn't a everybody gets a medal situation. Based on the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, you're looking at essentially by us getting into the silver zone, we're roughly in about the top 20% of high schools in the country in terms of these criteria: college credit, college culture, and college optimization. So for us, it's this balance, right? Are we, it's not all about the number, right? It's about, are your students achieving and getting better than a 3? Do you have high enrollment in terms of kids taking tests, right? Are you encouraging students throughout their high school career to take an assessment? So one of those criteria is in 9th or 10th grade. Are they taking at least one? So this was something that when we saw the criteria for, we obviously have had different things put in place to try to encourage students to take more AP courses and to take them earlier on in their high school experience. But we are very pleased and excited to have, to reach that silver mark, which again puts us in a very an elite category there that we're excited to be in. And again, we were not that surprised. We were assuming we would hit silver just based on our AP scores this year in terms of how strong, exceptionally strong that they were. So, next year we'll go for the gold, but the gold is, each area that you go up, it becomes that much more significant, and you have to really, look at some other things that you do in terms of building. Maybe it's offering a different AP course for 9th and 10th graders to take outside of what we currently have. So in order to keep moving along and staying there, there's other things that we might have to do, but we are very pleased with where we landed this year with our students and their achievement. So
It'd be the same categories that they're looking at if it were the gold, though.
they look at the same every year, and that was one of the first things when we got it last year. We're like, all right, is this something that they just, give out to a lot of schools? And they don't. I mean, it is a set criteria you have to hit, and they are hard marks to hit. And it might be surprising, even college optimization, that number in the graduating class is a low percentage, but again, it shows you how inaccessible in some ways the AP assessments are to students in the 9th and 10th grade. And that starts them on that track of getting 5 or more AP exams over the course of their high school career. So we're trying to do everything in our power to expand AP opportunities. And as a district, I think we've always had a great policy or philosophy on that approach, right? We don't limit students going into AP. We encourage them, and when they're in there, we encourage them to take the assessment. And
Right, but we no longer require it, so that's
we
also
don't require it. Nope.
it's incentive too to take
Correct.
it. So.
Correct.
Well, congratulations on the growth, and I think it's great how you do a good job of letting the students know what's available and encourage them to take courses that are challenging like this. So thank you. Any other comments from the board? All right, congratulations again. All right, action item E, approval of minutes and motions from our September 10th, 2024 regular meeting. Motion from Kelly, is there a second? From Lori, all in favor? Opposed, I'll abstain, and thank you for running that meeting. All right, minutes are approved. Action item F, stipend approval 2023-2024, reference I in your packets. Any questions on that? Okay, go ahead, Alicia.
Just the skiing one is not is hourly rate, and it just looks different. I just wondered why. Okay. What, I didn't hear her answer. Oh.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a stipend actually in the teacher's contract, and it's an intramural, so it is hourly. It's set by the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay. And I promised the students I would raise that they would love to see somebody on this stipend list that wants to do ski club for the high school, because they loved it in the middle school. I don't know if it's anything we could ever think about, but I promised them I'd ask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Stipends are approved. Did you catch who was second? Well, Laura's taking the minutes. You don't need to, right? You don't. I'm sorry, who was the second?
There were two of us, that's why I was asking.
Okay.
All right, Lori.
All right, informational item G, Human Resources Personnel Activity Report, reference J in your packets. Any questions on that? I just had one. I feel like maybe the math interventionist I've seen on the vacancies list often. So I always wonder if we make it a full-time position instead of 2 part-times. If that's something we could look into, it might entice someone to apply.
We would take anything at this time. It's so difficult to find math anyways. Math is such a shortage area, but to find a math interventionist is very difficult. There's no certification required. It's just someone that has experience tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult to find. But that's something that we can take a look at. It is funded through grants, so we have to be careful that if we do go full time, anything over 30 hours, we have to offer benefits, and so there's not enough funding to do that. So that's why we do create some part-time positions.
So you can't add benefits on our side as if we picked up the tab on it, is what I'm wondering?
We would have to budget appropriately.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was asking. Does anyone else have any questions? All right. Thank you. And then informational item H, principal reports, reference KLM and N. Any questions on those? All right, we have no policies for first read, no policies for second read, board committee reports, policy committee end of year report. We don't have one. Lori, did you hand one in already?
Yeah, I don't know why that's there because it was on last time.
Oh,
so
okay.
I submitted it at the beginning of September. So I don't
Okay.
know.
Thank
That
you.
looks weird like that. Yeah.
All right, and then the facilities and technology committee, reference O, the minutes are included for you to read. Any topics for future agendas? Anyone would like to raise?
Just the one for, I'd like to volunteer to lead the charge on the board evaluations
Okay.
that we discussed and provide some options and possibly get Cabe to come in and have a discussion. I'll provide those options and we can decide what we want to do.
Sure.
Correct.
All right, we'll get that on the agenda. If you can reach out to me with what you found, and we'll get it on an upcoming agenda.
Sounds good.
All right, anything else? All right, we'll go around with comments. We'll start with Matt this time. Anything? Updates, announcements? Alan, Kelly, Lori, Dr. Macri, are you all set? I'm all set. Catherine? Kelly, Alicia, Steve.
Lucille gets the award tonight for the least amount of acronyms in her presentation. That's all I have.
All right. So at this time, I'll need a motion for us to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion of security strategies, and we would invite in Dr. Macri. Is there a motion? Matt, second by Alan. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And we'll let them take a minute to clear.